Today I'm going to talk about Freestyle blend surface. Before I actually create a blend surface, I need to have two adjacent surfaces with a gap in between to create my blend surf. So I'm going to start off with a planar patch. Manipulate the control points. And select OK. I'm going to change the color of the surfaces so it's a little bit easier for visualization purposes. And I need one more surface, so I'll just simply copy, Control C on the keyboard, and Control V on the keyboard, make my next surface, and then simply move that surface to create the two surfaces that I need and the gap in between those two adjacent surfaces. Now that I have my initial slabs put in place, I'll go into Freestyle Blend Surface. And if we look at our Q line, it is asking us select a curve or an isoparameter. So for this, I'm going to select this edge. You'll notice that I get a little red indicator of or pre-selection of what edge I want to pick. I need to be careful to not pick something over here or one of the other edges. You just want to pick near the edge that you want to bridge across or blend across. Surface 1, surface 2. Now that I have my surfaces selected, you'll notice that I have several handles that I'm able to manipulate. This allows me to drag that surface to a limiting portion of either one of those edges. If you notice under the blend surface menu, it's set to auto. And if we look below this, this says analytic. This means that I am matching to an exact location on that edge. If I change this to approximated, you'll notice that there was a change in the surface. What the approximated does is it uses a larger tolerance and can potentially create a smoother blend between those adjacent surfaces if you're blending between two fairly complex shapes. So you may need to use the approximated. There are instances where you will not be able to use the what's called analytic. If I leave this at automatic, automatic is simply selecting which of the two it can perform. It performs analytic by default, and if it cannot perform the analytic, it automatically shifts over to approximated. So if I change this to auto, you'll notice that here my U and V order, this is a 4 and 6, this is analytic. If I switch this to approximated, you'll see approximated, U and V order, and this is a 6 by 6. If I go to analytic, you'll see that it reverts back to true analytic. If I change this to auto, it stays on analytic. By default, again, it goes to the analytic. I can project endpoints, and what this will do is off of my surfaces, end surfaces, it'll project those endpoints. Now if I move this, you'll notice it breaks that projection. If I turn this on and off again, you'll see that it projects those endpoints once again. But by turning it on and off, it resets that projection. This is one of those tools. It does not have the actual parameter within the tree. It's going to create an isolated element. So while you're creating this is where you need to make sure you have these options set correctly. Once it's created, you're unable to go and modify the parameters of said surface. You have to go in there and use match edge or manipulate the control points. You'll also notice that I have here, it says CT. This is curvature continuous. This is the type of continuity bridging between these two surfaces. If I right mouse click on that continuity, you'll see I have point continuity. I'll do this for both. This is almost a ruled surface at this point. It's just going straight across. I can go tangent, proportional, or curvature. Another thing that I can do, but I need to turn on, is I can turn on what's called tensions. These tensions allow me to modify the weight on each one of those ends. So as you can see here, I'm modifying that tension value. This gives me the ability to change the acceleration as that surface flows from one to the next. So you have a depth and a skew value, basically. Once I select OK, you'll notice that the surface is now an isolated surface, and it cannot be modified through parameters. Again, I'd have to use either a match surface or a control points. If I click on this and go to the control points, you can see what the actual control points look like. And that is a freestyle blend surface.